Hello, everyone. Welcome to our genealogy jumpstart session for today. For those who don't know me, I'm Katie Stilp. I'm the local history librarian here at the library. If this is your first genealogy jumpstart session, we've actually been doing this for almost a year. So we do have recordings of all of our past sessions on our YouTube channel. You just need to go to youtube.com/APLREF, and we have a whole playlist that has the genealogy jumpstart videos on there. And if you don't remember that, you can also go to the apl.org website, and we have a spot for Genealogy Jumpstart where you can get all the handouts and links to the past videos as well, to kind of start from the beginning. But today we're going to talk all about how to find your family and some of our great online resources that we have that are really helpful for us genealogists. So I'll do quite a few live demonstrations of some of these sites. Obviously, we can't spend too long on all of them or we would be here all afternoon, but hopefully I'll at least give you a great overview of some of the resources that are available to you that you can go try searching for your ancestors in them. So first, I just want to mention why you might want to or why you should look in these online resources. Of course, we all know that there's a ton of stuff online. And hey, it might feature your ancestor, which is what we all want. We all want more information on our ancestors. You might even be able to find a photo, which is always really great. These resources might have really rich details about your ancestor that you might not find anywhere else. So, of course, it's really worth a shot to do a search. A lot of these ones that I'm going to show you today are free and very easy to access. You don't need to travel. You can do it right from home. A lot of the major genealogy libraries that are available all contribute to these sites, so you kind of get to explore parts of their collection, even without having to go to Salt Lake City, for example. You can get some of the resources from FamilySearch right from home. You can search for these anytime, anywhere you have that internet connection, whether it's 3 a.m. when you can't sleep in your pajamas, or it's Sunday when the library is closed, or like I said, without having to go to another, state to go research, or drive a couple hours outside of the area. Also, in genealogy, we like to do what's called a reasonably exhaustive search to make sure that we're finding all the materials on our ancestors. That's kind of one of the tenets of genealogy research if you do become a professional genealogist. And even if you don't, it's still just a wise thing to make sure that you're searching all the things to try to find as much as you can on your ancestors to put all those pieces of the puzzle together. Well, of course, using some of these online sites might help you do that reasonably exhaustive search, and maybe you can find some unexpected things that you weren't planning on finding. But of course, not everything is online, as this nice graphic points out. The internet is just the tip of the iceberg. So with genealogy research, even though the internet is great and has provided access to a lot of great resources for us, we still have to do that research in the library, in the archives, in the courthouses. So don't just think, oh, all these sites that I'm showing you are the only sites that you need to search. There's a lot more sites available. There's a lot more things that you need to research off-site, or not online. You still might find, those physical books, those physical articles, those physical records that are not yet digitized or may never be digitized. So, obviously, make sure you're doing that reasonably exhaustive research for your ancestors. All right, so now we're going to dive into all of the different resources that we're going to talk about today. The first one I like to start with is, of course, a library. So it's the Digital Public Library of America. They have over 52 million images, text, videos, and sounds, all completely free. And even though the word library is in their title, you actually don't even need a library card to search this site, or you don't need to sign up for anything. They obviously are continuing, of course, to add more materials. So, soon that 52 plus million will be 53 plus million. They're constantly adding things. So they get lots of resources from different libraries, different archives, museums, and cultural institutions all around the country. So they've got things from the National Archives, from Internet Archive, Recollection Wisconsin, Library of Congress, which we'll talk about some of these resources a little bit later. But lots of really great institutions have contributed material that can then be found through the Digital Public Library of America. So you might find things like family photos, family Bibles, maps, yearbooks, military photos and records, oral history. If somebody wrote a family history or a genealogy book that was then digitized, it might be available and searchable on here. And again, also despite the name, it's not a traditional library. So they don't actually have a physical library location like we do here. They don't have any reference services. You can't call and talk to a librarian or chat with a librarian on there. But it's, a pretty easy site to find. And I will show you exactly how to get there and how to do a couple sample searches in just a second. So when you get to the site, there's kind of some search basics. So no matter what you're looking for, you can type a subject, you can type a name of somebody, one of your ancestors, or a place, and then click the search button and see what pops up. That's going to give you a listing of different results that it thinks matches what you typed in. So you can sort those by relevance, which means, they think that this is a match to what you searched. But you can also search alphabetically if that's an easier way to find things, or you can sort by date if you know a specific date time period. There's a little drop-down menu that you can select those different sort options. They've also got some great filters on the left-hand side. So you can filter it by the specific type of record that you're looking for. Like if you're looking for a map or you're looking for a photo, you can just look for the maps and just look for the photos. You can filter it by subject, by location, date, collection, or language. They've also got a couple other filters, but I don't really use them very often. It's right statuses, so it's saying it's in copyright or it's not in copyright, what institution contributed it, or what partner has digitized the material. There's a couple different ways that you can search other than just putting in that basic keyword. And these tips of searching will work on all of the sites we're going to talk about today. But of course, I don't want to have to repeat this every single time we talk about a resource. So just remember these kind of few things. So what I like to do is put quotation marks around a specific phrase or a specific name, like you see in this example of John Smith. So that tells the search database to search that exact name and not every instance of John and every instance of Smith. We want John Smith together because that's the name of that person. There's also something called Boolean. It's a fancy library term. So this just basically allows you to combine or exclude certain terms by using or, and, or not. So say I want somebody with the last name Hamilton, but I don't want George Hamilton. I can put in the search box, I want Hamilton, but not George, and it's going to give me every instance of Hamilton that doesn't involve George. There's also something called wildcard. So this really helps fill in missing characters. As genealogists, you probably know sometimes the indexing is a little off or names might be a little bit misspelled, depending on, who wrote it out. So this is kind of a way to search around those misspellings or those misindexing. So one of the most popular wildcards is going to be that star kind of asterisk symbol. So if I did something like John and then put the star after it, it's going to give me Johnny and Johnson and Johnston. So all these different variations. So it's basically saying everything after that N, I want whatever you got, regardless of how it's spelt. So you kind of want to be strategic of where you're putting that star. And of course, there's going to be different synonyms for all the terms that you're putting in. If you put in genealogy, well, some people call it family history, some people call it ancestry, or my lineage, or my heritage, or my parentage. So there's all these kinds of different words if you're looking for a specific subject that you could try similar sounding or similar, meaning words instead of just that one search term. So now I'll do a quick little demonstration of how to use this site. In your handout, we have all the links, or you can just easily do a Google search for Digital Public Library of America. But this one's an easy site. It's dp.la. So right here, you just do the big search the collection. So, like I said, you can search by a specific place. So I can type in Appleton. and click search. And now it's going to give me all these results. So like I mentioned, it's going to sort by relevance first, or I could do it alphabetically or oldest to newest or newest to oldest. I can decide I want to see 20 on the page or I want to see 100 on the page or how I want the page laid out. And then there's all these different filters on the side. So if I know, oh, I'm only looking for an image, I can click on image and then it's going to narrow down all those results so that it's, um, however many results there were, now it's down to 7,000 results. And then I can, narrow down if I want a specific date period or a specific language or collection. There's all these different filters that you can click on. So to narrow down your results, make them more relevant to you. But anytime you would see something that, looks like something you're interested in, you could click on it, and then it's going to give you a little bit more detail about this. So this is a specific image. I can read, oh, it's a Dutch house from this person whose last name was Appleton. Well, that might not be what I'm looking for, but I at least get a little bit more detail, where it came from, a URL where I can go maybe download that photo or learn a little bit more if I want to. So you can do that with each of the images, and you also get to see kind of where it came from. If they're not in English, there are not translations. No. Yeah, you have to use other resources to try to translate them. But like we just talked about, there's other ways to search. So maybe if I didn't find exactly what I was looking for, maybe I want to search for a specific name of somebody, and I'm going to put that in the quotation mark. So I'm going to search for Gladys Still. Well, that's interesting that she didn't. Oh, because I have the filters on. Make sure your filters are off. Or you can always just click on that DPLA again to kind of start fresh. So now I can see here's a photo of her, and now I can click on it, learn a little bit more, see where it came from, all that kind of great stuff. And then it links me to that original resource that it pulled it from that maybe might have a little bit more information, or maybe I could download that image then. And again, you can also use those Boolean operators. So say I want books about puppies. I'm going to do puppies and books. Make sure you capitalize that and, because then it knows the Boolean search operator that you're trying to use. So now I can see, oh, here's a book about puppies, or here's a photo with children and books and puppies. So it's kind of giving me those results based on what I'm searching. Any questions about DPLA? Like I said, I know it's a quick little demonstration, but if we spend more time on all of these, we'd be here all afternoon. So they've also got some really great helpful tips and things that you can look at. They've got different topics that you can browse. They've got cool online exhibitions that you can look through. You can look and see they've got a whole spot about how to use DPLA for family research, where it's going to talk to you a little bit more if you need a little bit more in-depth information. They've got all kinds of other great things that you can look at on here, and feel free to explore. All right. The next one is called HathiTrust. So this is a nonprofit collaborative of different academic and research libraries from all around the United States. They've got over 18 million and growing digitized items from over 60 plus academic and research libraries. They have a lot of books, magazines, newspapers, journals, sheet music, and government documents. They do not have any audio or visual files. So if you're looking for photos or an oral history, this isn't a site that you would want to search in. But if you're looking for anything else that's like physical print materials, this would be a great resource. They do have the site available completely for free, but you only get a certain subset of all of the collections available. So only about 40% of what they have on here is available to just anybody. If you are a member of one of their research institutions like UW-Madison, that's a college that contributes to HathiTrust, those students can log in and then be provided with a lot more materials than just the 40% that us regular people get. You can still, of course, log in or, search without logging in if you don't have one of those member institutions, but just be aware you might run into some roadblocks that you can't maybe see all the things, or maybe you only get to see a snapshot preview of a few pages of a document, and then it's going to ask you to log in to view the rest of it. We also have interlibrary loans sometimes that if you come across one of those things that's restricted for you, we can always try to get a copy of it for you through the library. If you want to, you can also create a free guest account, even if you're just a regular person who doesn't have one of those member institutions. It's really helpful if you want to save kind of like your own little digital library of all the things that you found on there. You can kind of create your own little virtual bookshelf. Just like the other sites, you can search by keywords, so you can put in different topics, different quotes, different names, places, phrases. I always make sure to choose the full text in all fields. You see it in a little drop down because it means I want to see anything, whether it's in the name of the title, the name of the author, within that publication. I want everything that has that word or that phrase in it. You can also use an advanced search. So that's another option in here where you can filter some of the results like we just did with DPLA. You can use those Boolean operators that we talked about or the wildcards. You can also refine your results list by different subjects, authors, language, publication place and date, format, and or location. So now I'll show you a quick little demonstration of what this looks like. Again, the link for this is in your handout, or you can just simply Google HathiTrust and it will easily pop up for you. This is what I mean by making sure the full text in all fields is selected because, unless you have a specific title or a specific author that you want to search, I would just recommend leaving it on the full text in all fields. So I'm going to put in something like a location, so Outagamie County, Wisconsin. And now I can see there's over 52,000 results. So of course, if I wanted to, I can narrow down a little bit. Maybe I just really want the English ones, or I want a specific subject. Maybe I can narrow down a little bit and see what's available. But once I see something that I want to look at, you'll see over here, they kind of give a little snapshot like, oh, do I get a full view or is it a limited view? That's what I mean by some of the things are only allowed for those member institutions. Some of the things all of us regular people can access. So anytime you see something with full view, you're able to click on that and then be brought into that. Just like you would have the physical book in front of you, it's going to show you that scan of this book. So now I can go through all 1,900 plus pages of this book if I want to. But say, well, I want to search and see if my ancestors are in here or a specific name. I don't want to read through 1,900 pages of this. Over here, they've got a great search within this text button over here. So you would just pop in that name. So I'm going to pop in a surname if I can type right here, and then click that little magnifying glass. Sometimes, depending on how long the book is, it might take a minute or two to give you some search results. There's also, this is a spot where you can download a copy of this sometimes. Sometimes it might only let you do one page, or it might let you do the whole book, depending on copyright status and all that, but you can try to download it there as well. So now that our search results popped up, I can see the different page numbers that it's on. I would just click over here on that page number. It's going to bring me right to that page, and it even highlights it on the screen of where that name appears. And I can zoom in here and see where it is. And then I can just go click on the next page and be brought to that page and see, okay, is this about the specific person I'm looking for or not? So that's how easy it is to use HathiTrust. Any questions before we move on to the next one? Again, just like the other kind of keyword searches and different tips and tricks I talked to you about a few minutes ago, those all work on this site too. So feel free to use all of the different tips and tricks on all of these sites. Next up, we've got Google Books. So there's kind of two different views that they have. They've got a classic version of Google Books or the new version of Google Books, which has been around for at least a few years. So I don't know why they keep calling it the new version, but they both work similarly. They just look a little bit different. Basically, what you can do in this is you can search within the text of over 10 million free books. You can read or download some of the titles that are in the public domain or copyright free. And then even those newer books that are copyrighted or, maybe it was just published a few years ago, you can see a few pages of that book, see a little limited preview of it. But a lot of historic great works are on this site. You can search specifically by title, by author. Each book has an ISBN. It's kind of this unique number that each book gets to make it unique from other books. Or, of course, you can put in different keywords too. Some of the titles you can search in that book without having to read through all the pages and see if your ancestor is in there, but not every single book has that functionality, unfortunately. They've also got some magazines and newspapers on here as well. If you have a Google account, you can be signed into your Google account and have like a little virtual bookshelf as well, or even multiple shelves. So say you've got, multiple different surnames and you want to save books to specific surnames or specific locations, you can create different little bookshelves for each of those things that you want to create a bookshelf for. So we're going to show you the new Google Books. Like I said, they both look very similar. So again, you kind of just can search whatever you want. So say I want history of Outagamie County. And it's going to pop up all the results that it thinks might be relevant to me. You can see some of them say no preview. That means I can't click on it and look within that book because for some reason there's no preview to it. Obviously, this one that's from 2013, that's probably why, because it's too new for us to get a preview of it. But this one from 1911 is probably out of copyright at this point. So I can click on it and be able to read it. So it's going to pop up. Of course, based on what I put in the search bar, it's going to highlight that stuff. But just like we did on HathiTrust, we can, delete that and then put in that surname of that person that we want to look for. And just like before, it's going to highlight on that page where you find that name. And you can click on it and then be brought into that specific page to read a little bit more of the context in there. And you can see if you've never used Google Books before, it says, hey, I can give you a little tour of this. So it can show you a little bit more of what all the buttons do and all the things do. There's also ways that you can download some of the books. So if you see the little three dots, you can download a PDF of it if it's allowed. Of course, again, not every book you can download a PDF of, but if it allows it, you can do that there. Do you have a question? No? Okay. All right, so that is Google Books. Next up, we've got Internet Archive. So this is a great nonprofit library of different millions of books, movies, software, music, websites, and more. They've got a couple different search options. I kind of use 3 of the 6 that they have available. The one I use most is going to be text contents, but I'll talk to you about all the other ones too. So the first option is metadata. So that's if you know a specific title or a specific author or creator, or you want to search within a specific subject or within the description, you can search that keyword or that name and put that in there. And in that field, you can use those Boolean operators that we talked about before. The one I use most, like I said, is the text contents because it's searching within all of the materials. So if I have that name of that ancestor I'm searching for, I want to make sure we're selecting text contents because then it's going to search for that name within all of the books, within all the titles, within all the creators, the descriptions, all the stuff. They've also got TV news captions, radio transcripts, archived websites, and then, of course, an advanced search option if you want to put in a couple of these different things to, have a little bit more kind of narrow search for you. So you can fill in kind of one field or combine different fields, like if you have a title and a date, to narrow those results. So what I typically do is I use that metadata search if I know I have a specific book title, And then I'm going to search within that specific book title as well. So even if you do use that metadata search, you can pull up that book that you found. And then within the book, if you look on the left side, which I'll show you this when we go to the live preview, there's a little magnifying glass where you can search within the book. Some people will get a little confused because there's also a little magnifying glass in the upper right, but that brings you back to the whole site-wide search. So I'll point that out in just a minute when we get there. Just like some of the other sites, you can sign in and create a free account. You can build that virtual bookshelf, and they even have select ebooks where you can kind of check it out just like you would a traditional library, and it gives it to you for, a few days or a week or something, where you have that time to read that book if you'd like. But it's just kind of on select titles that aren't always available without having to borrow it. They've also got a really great aspect within Internet Archive called the Wayback Machine. So if you've ever come across a website that, maybe in 10 years, the link for this website doesn't work anymore that somebody had written down for you, or maybe they changed the content and you can't find that one thing that you knew was there, the last time you looked at it, you can enter that website into the Wayback Machine, and it might have been archived there. So maybe they've taken a little snapshot of what that website looked like 10 years ago or 5 years ago. They have over 1 trillion web pages archived, and you can sometimes click on various dates to see when they took a little snapshot of that website. Maybe some of the links are working in that snapshot, or maybe some of them are broken, but you click on the next snapshot, and then maybe it's looking different. So you can kind of click around those, and I'll show you a live demonstration of that in just a second. Of course, not every site or every little page within each website is always included here, but maybe you get lucky and find what you're looking for, or find stuff that used to exist that has now vanished. So I'll show you first how to use the regular part of Internet Archive, and then I'll show you the Wayback Machine. So you kind of see the Wayback Machine is a separate little search bar right up here. But if you're just searching for all the other kind of books, movies, all that kind of stuff, you're going to click on this search box down here. And then you can see the different options that we just talked about. Like I said, I usually will use the metadata one or the text contents one. So for example, if I have just a subject, I want to put that maybe in the metadata field, and I can click go to search. And it's going to show me everything that's related to Outagamie County. So I could click on, let's see, what do I want? The pioneers of Outagamie County. Maybe one of my ancestors was a pioneer. Well, maybe I want to search and see now, do they have the name of my ancestor here? So this is what I was talking about the different magnifying glasses. So over here on the left-hand side, if you click on this, it's going to search within the book. If you click on this one in the upper right and type it in there, it's going to go back to the main search and search everything in Internet Archive. So if you just want to search within the book, you want to make sure to click this one on the left. And then again, you type in that surname that you're looking for. It's going to give the different page numbers. You can click on it and be brought there. It's going to give you that nice little highlight of where it is on the page. You can zoom in, zoom out, all that kind of great stuff, just like you can on the other sites. Sometimes you can even also download a copy of this. So if you scroll down, they've got a couple different download options. I usually go for a PDF because it's pretty easy to download and open a PDF on everybody's computer. So that's another way that you can save some things. But again, it doesn't always give you that functionality with everything. So just like the other sites, you can put in different, things. If I want to search text contents, that's again like a specific name, or I want to search within every book without having to go book by book by book. So if I want to put in somebody's name, for example, I put that in quotes, and now it's searching within everything. So now you can see, that name's not in any of these titles, but I can see based on the highlights here that, yeah, that name appears in these materials. They've got newspapers on here, they've got different books on here. So I could click on each of these and look and see where that name appears in that spot. And then quickly, I wanted to show you the Wayback Machine. So I have a site that I tried using a few months ago, or year or so ago that at one point it was this really cool, like, old ways of dying. So if I put that in my internet browser right now, this doesn't look like something that I had seen years ago. This is a Japanese site now, and has nothing to do with genealogy. Even if you translate it to English, it has nothing to do with genealogy anymore. So what I can do is I can go to the Internet Archive. I can go to the Wayback Machine. I'm going to put that exact website in there, and I'm going to search. So maybe at some point they sold the website to those people that are, now using it for a Japanese thing. So now I can say, oh, maybe in 2019, maybe it was, something else. So I can see, oh, there's a snapshot from January 17th of 2019, and I can click on it, and it will bring me into that website again at that time period. So sometimes it just takes a second to load. Oh, it says unavailable. So we're just going to go back and we're going to select a different one. Sometimes it takes a minute to load. But you can see they have it going back all the way to like 2004. So, they don't always get snapshots or multiple snapshots for every year, but hopefully that website that you're looking for will be on here. And you can see what it looked like at that point. So this one's going to pull up what it looked like on July 3rd of 2019. It's always great to do live demonstrations when it takes forever. Any questions in the meantime while we wait for this? See if our online folks have any questions here. Post the handout link again for you. How do you differentiate between the two versions of Google Books? If we go back to Google Books really quick, let's see if I can add another. So if you just go to books.google.com, it's automatically going to search the new Google Books. So if I go back to search, it's automatically going to do the new version of Google Books. But if I X out of that, there's a way to go back to the classic version. I'm trying to remember how to do it off the top of my head. Oh, right here. Back to classic over here on the bottom left. You can go back to the classic view if you're somebody who's been using Google Books for a while or you haven't used it in a while that they updated it and you want to just see how it looked back then, you can do that. So that's how you do that. Like I said, they pretty much work the same. Oh, so in 2019, this site still apparently was just up for, renewal or something. So let's see if we can find a way further back one. And hopefully this one will load a little faster. There we go. So Rudy's list of archaic medical terms. That's what I wanted. It's kind of genealogy related where I can find some of the things and I can see if some of these links work. Sometimes it might say, hey, it doesn't work anymore. And then I can just try one of these other ones and see if it works. But then I can just go within this site and click on it just like I would if it was still live again and not this Japanese site. And now I can go through all these kind of fun little terms that I might have found on a death certificate and learn little bit about what they were. So again, that's a really fun, easy way that you can find all these websites that have changed content or no longer exist. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, we pretty much took questions. Any questions before I move on? If you have a document linked to a website that does not exist, so if they have a document link on that website, you can try to put it in the Wayback Machine. They don't always capture different documents, though. Again, not every kind of sub page within a website is captured, but it's worth a try. All right. So next up, we've got Ancestry or Ancestry Library Edition. So, of course, within the library, we have the free library edition that you can only use within the library. Go to our library's website, apl.org, and that's where you can get our library edition, and I'll show you that in a minute. But if you have that paid subscription to Ancestry, it's going to give you a little bit more than the library edition because it's a paid version. Of course, they're going to give you more content. But basically, all the things I'm telling you about this will work on either the paid version or the library version. So I tend to use the card catalog. Shocker, I'm a librarian, so of course I'm going to use the card catalog even within Ancestry. So you can search or browse, or use different quick links that are just in the library edition. So, sometimes they have different collection titles that are under more than one section. So if I'm looking for, birth, marriage, and death records, well, those are all under all three. If I narrow down to just birth records, I might see just a certain subset of those collections. But what I really use the card catalog for is figuring out the different collections that are in a specific geographic region that I'm looking for. Like if I just want to look at the Wisconsin records and I don't care about people in New Jersey or Florida, I just want to find those Wisconsin ancestors, I might go to the card catalog and search Wisconsin. Or, gosh, I don't remember where I found the yearbooks anymore. Let me just go to the card catalog. I can type in yearbooks and then it will pull up that collection for me real quick. If you have the library edition, though, they've got some quick links on the bottom that can kind of help navigate that site a little bit more, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But within Ancestry and Ancestry Library Edition, they've got lots of great content. They've got some stories, memories, and history, which is kind of like their broad overarching category. But within there, they've got family histories, military histories, oral histories, social and place histories, all the kinds of things that you might find your ancestors in. They've also got different directories and member lists like city directories, church records, school yearbooks, employment directories, telephone directories. They've got different dictionaries, encyclopedias, and reference. So you might find like an almanac for a specific area or a gazetteer for somewhere or some sort of, archaic medical dictionary on here. Different, general reference materials that might help you a little bit more in your research. They've also got a great maps, atlases, and gazetteer section or a newspaper and periodical section. Again, with the library edition, you're just getting a subset. It's about 11,000 different collections that they have on there. If you have that paid subscription, they give you about 33,000. So quite a bit more, but of course the library edition's free. So if that's all you got access to, you still have access to a lot of great stuff in here. So I'll show you how to get to the library edition. Again, here at Appleton, we can only use it within the library. So even if you aren't a member of Appleton Library, you can bring your computer or you can get a guest pass and sign into one of our computers to use it on our computers. You just start at our website, apl.org. Under the Research and Learn tab, we've got a whole genealogy and local history section. And this is going to give you a listing of all of our genealogy and local history related stuff. Remember, I told you earlier, if this is your first genealogy jumpstart and you want to, see all the great content, you can scroll down here to the genealogy jumpstart and get all those handouts, get all those video links. Again, this is also going to list all the cool databases that we have related to local history and genealogy. But of course, that Ancestry Library Edition is right here at the top. I've also got some great other things like user guides or video tutorials or little tips and tricks that I put on some of these. So feel free to explore that because I can spend 2 hours talking about Ancestry Library Edition, and I have. So you can feel free to watch that if you want a little bit more in-depth on that resource. But to get there, you just click on the name of it and it brings you right into that Ancestry Library Edition. So if you do have the library edition, I always recommend scrolling down to the bottom. That's where some of those quick links are. Like if you know, hey, I really just want to search in the city directories, or I really would just want to see what pictures they have on here, or different military records, you can click on that and then search within that. But if you're looking for the card catalog, that's going to be under this search and then card catalog, which is way towards the bottom. So what you could do is you can either put a specific title or a specific keyword of that collection in there. So like I said before, yearbooks. maybe I want to put that in there. And now I've got the different collections that have that word yearbooks in it. Just like the other sites, you can kind of sort it by different, things like the date it was added or the record count, the title, all that kind of great stuff. You can also narrow it down here on the left-hand side. They've got different filters, like maybe I just want USA yearbooks. I can click on that. It's going to narrow it down to just those. I can even narrow it down by specific states or specific dates. Anytime I see something, I'm like, wow, oh, cool, Onondaga County, New York. Like my ancestors went there. I want to maybe look at this. I can kind of hover over it, get a little kind of preview of what this collection might be, and then I can just click in it. Now I can do that name search for my ancestor, or sometimes if it's got a bunch of like images, it might have you browse it. So, if they've got different court cases or things like that, it might have you select a little something before you can search through all of that or browse through it all. But this is again a great way to figure out what they have specifically for a specific location for you. So like I could put in Wisconsin right here and see all the 73 collections that have Wisconsin in it. So there's really narrow stuff like things from Appleton that I can now search in that would just be that and not have to search through all the other things that are worldwide in Ancestry Library Edition. All right, let's see what else we got here. Again, feel free to watch that video tutorial on Ancestry Library Edition where go a lot more in depth on using the site. It's on our APL site. Again, you don't even have to be a library card user of APL. You can feel free to watch that. If you live in Wisconsin, we also have Heritage Quest. I call it Ancestry Light Edition. So even though Ancestry Library Edition can only be used in the library, Heritage Quest can be used from home. Especially if you live in Wisconsin, you can get it for free without even needing your library card. For those virtual who aren't in Wisconsin, check with your local library, see if you're able to get access to it. It looks and works very similar to Ancestry Library Edition because Heritage Quest is now owned by Ancestry. They just have a lot less collections, even less collections than that library edition of Ancestry, but still worth a great search for you. So we have this great statewide resource called Badger Link that provides this free for everybody in Wisconsin here. So you just go to that site and click on it. It's also linked within our APL site where I just showed you those genealogy and local history things, so you can find it under there. So here they've got lots of great things. So you can just do that name search of your ancestors right away, or they've got different topics kind of pulled out, the different censuses, city directories, all that kind of great stuff. You can also go under search and then it'll bring even more different topics. So specifically, if we're talking about books and how to find your ancestors in different books, I can click on that and see all the different books that they have. So if I click under publications, it's going to give me lists and lists and lists of all these different things. But thankfully, I can narrow it by title, I can narrow it by author, publication year, subject, or location. So maybe I want to just pop in Wisconsin. Or I could type in a surname and see if any family histories have been written and digitized on here. And then they've got all of these great books. So I can see, oh, the 3rd Wisconsin Infantry. I can search a name within this, or I can just say, hey, I just want to browse the books just like I would at the library. And I can click on it and then page to page, go through it and read. If, my ancestors served in this specific regiment, I would want to read through this and, learn a little bit more about their service. So that's a great way for you to be able to do that. We don't really know how many publications are on here because it doesn't give us a number, but there is a lot. Like I found a lot of really great stuff in this book area. So definitely check it out. They've, of course, got lots of other collections in here. Just like that Ancestry Library Edition, I have a little tutorial on how to use Heritage Quest as well that you can find on the website.
You have to be a Wisconsin resident, but what if you're like, say, in Florida trying to use it?
If you're in Florida trying to use it, I believe you can put in your Wisconsin zip code or your library card number and it would work.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't personally tested it. Whenever I'm on vacation, I never want to work on genealogy, but I think it works. Next up, we've got FamilySearch Digital Library. So we talked about FamilySearch last year at some point where I walked you through all the great things the site has, but they have a section of their website where it's the digital library. So they've digitized over 500,000 and growing genealogies, family histories, county and local histories, different genealogy periodicals, gazetteers, and much, much more from some of the major genealogy libraries or just things that were donated to them. The bad thing about the digital library is that they do have some restricted books that you can only view at the Family Search Library, which is all the way in Salt Lake City. Or they also have books that you can view at a Family Search Center. So all the Family Search Centers you see on a map that you can search where the closest one is to you. All the green ones are going to be Family Search Centers. All the orange ones are going to be affiliate libraries. Unfortunately, the restricted books aren't available at affiliate libraries, which blows my mind because we're a library. Why wouldn't you give us access to the books? But it's something that Family Search does. So look for those green Family Search Centers if you do come across any books that say you can only view it there or only view it at Salt Lake City. Also, before you start your search, make sure you're logged into your Family Search account because sometimes they restrict those books because they think you're not a user of Family Search. But once you log in, it'll unrestrict some of those things. I like to just put in, random words or keywords in that search bar. But also, if I know I'm specifically looking for a specific title or a specific author or subject, there's also an advanced search option on here where you can get a better result sometimes. You can also use those Boolean operators or some of those other search tips that we talked about towards the beginning. So now I'll show you a little demonstration. So this is a part of Family Search. So if you just go to familysearch.org, since right now we're within the library, it's pulling up our Family Search affiliate website. But I would, of course, want to make sure I'm signed into my Family Search account. If you don't have a Family Search account, completely free to sign up. And you just log in. To get to the digital library, you can click on Search and Books. They've got more than just books in here, but a lot of books. So again, I could do a search for location. So if I just want Outagamie County, Wisconsin, and I want to put quotes around it so that it knows to search that specific phrase and not every instance of county and every instance of Wisconsin. Or there's the advanced search over here that you can turn on and play around with if you're not getting the right results that you're looking for. And again, it's going to be a little slow. All right. Nothing? What? That's kind of weird. Did I type it right? I spelled it right. Yeah. Let's eliminate the quotes for a change and see what it pops up. Because I know there's Outagamie County stuff on here for sure.
Comma throw.
It might. That's why I always encourage people to try multiple different ways. You just never know. Some ways it works and some ways you delete something and all of a sudden it works. Or, maybe I just put in Outagamie County and not Wisconsin and see what pops up because every time you modify that search, it's going to give you different stuff. So let's do that. Or maybe they're just having a problem with the site because I know I did this search before and it worked. So I would never do a demonstration without having already tested it before. Still searching here. All right. See, right there, Outagamie County, Wisconsin, which is exactly what I put into the keywords, but that's why sometimes it's easier or better to use that advanced search too, because if I would have just given up after the first time, I wouldn't have found this thing that maybe I was looking for, or maybe that's really relevant to my ancestors. So right here, I could click on this book. You can also see just at a glance before you click on it. Oh, I can look at it online. Sometimes it might say restricted here if it's limited or something like that. Let's see if we can find one that's not available. protected. So it says I can only search within that one. I can't, go page by page by page and look and see what I can find in it. So you'll see some of the different restrictions there just at a glance. But if I find one I want to click in and search, I can pull it up, just click on the title. I can browse, page by page, just flip through just like I would a regular book. They've also got a magnifying glass up here towards the upper right where I can click on that and then type in that name of that person I'm looking for. Sometimes it takes a minute depending on how long the book is and how slow our internet is today. You can also download a copy of the books in some cases. So right here where you see that little arrow with the kind of square around it, that's where you would be able to download the page or download the whole book in some instances. So just like the other sites, you can kind of see that page number of where that name appears. You can click on it and then be brought to that page. And then there I can see that name. It's just having a little difficulty loading it all. But yeah, that's an easy way to search within that and find some of those great books that might have your ancestors in them. So again, you can search by location, you can search by keyword. I've even put in like a name of, a surname of ancestors that I'm looking for to see, is there any genealogy that somebody wrote and has put on here in book form that I can then search through. So in that keyword spot, you can put in that name and see what pops up. Family Search sometimes tries to give you suggestions below, but you don't always have to click on them, especially if they aren't relevant to what you're searching for. So you can see sometimes it's, relevant, sometimes it's not. Maybe that name appears somewhere in these, but it's protected only, so I'd have to go in. Oh, I can kind of see like a little preview of where it is. You can also see it kind of looks a little like gobbledygook because they're using what's called OCR. It's optical character recognition. So it's like a computer is reading what it thinks it says. And computers, unlike humans, are sometimes not always right. I mean, of course, humans sometimes aren't always right either. But if you pulled up this page and tried to read it, I can guarantee it doesn't say CHC quotation mark AGES. It probably says something else, but that's what the computer thinks it says. But you can see it's searching within this yearbook, for example. Now I can see that name of those people. And I can go right to that specific page if I click on this image 83. And without having to go back and do that magnifying glass search within it, it's going to pull up that exact page right here where that name appears. So that's another helpful way to search. And again, you can download a copy of it there if you'd like, or you can go page to page, scroll around a little bit more, and browse some more. I don't think Family Search highlights it, if I remember correctly. Oh yeah, it does. It's way down here. It's like in red, way down towards the bottom. And up here too, there's two different ones highlighted. It's just a little more difficult to see. They do have a zoom in button up here as well. So you can see now where the little red highlight is there. So yeah, fun, different ways you can find ancestors in that digital library. Next up, we've got the Library of Congress. Of course, that's, our major library in the United States. Of course, most of the stuff is going to be on site in Washington, D.C., but they do have a lot of great digital collections that they're continually adding to. They've got different photos, prints, drawings, audio recordings. They've got some books, notated music, film, video, maps, newspapers. There's a spot in that search box where you can select different item types. Like there's one that says digital collections, but I've found if I narrow it down to digital collections, it doesn't always give me all of the results. So I always search everything because that makes me think I'm getting everything that there actually is in the site and not, narrowing it down to just the digital collections because there might be way more that might be digitized in that everything thing, but for some reason they're not showing it in the digital collections. So this is what I mean when making sure it says everything. Like if I know, hey, I want an audio recording, maybe I'm tempted to select audio recording in search, or maybe I'm tempted to search maps. But I encourage you to leave it on everything and then search what you're looking for. So I'm going to search Appleton. Oh, I am human. And then it's going to give me anything it thinks is relevant to that phrase that I put in. So it's giving me somebody with the last name Appleton. It's giving me a picture of Lawrence. It's giving me a picture of the paper mills in Appleton. So I've got all these great things that I can search through. Over here, I can narrow it down. So say, oh, I really want an audio recording related to Appleton. Now I can do that narrow down instead of narrowing it up there. It does kind of narrow it up here then, but for some reason, it's just this is how it works better is if you do everything and then narrow it down that way. But now I can see there's different audio recordings through some of these veterans. So if I wanted to listen to it, I could click on it and be brought into that and listen to it. You can also, um, if you start typing something, so say I want to search Outagamie County, you can see it starts kind of giving me suggestions. So I could also, click on one of those suggestions and then see what pops up because those are different subjects that's assigned the different materials that they've added. So now I know I'm getting stuff that's for Outagamie County, Wisconsin within that subject. So I'm seeing a map, I'm seeing an agricultural impact statement. I'm seeing, photos of different locations around the county, things like that. And again, feel free to use any of these filters on the left-hand side that might help you narrow down. Instead of going through all, 7,000 plus results, you can, narrow it down a little bit to something a little bit more manageable. Right. See if there's a question here. Could it be there's only one copy of that restricted book? On FamilySearch, well, since it's been digitized, I don't know that it would restrict it because of that. I think usually they restrict books for a specific like privacy reason or whoever owned that book put a restriction on it for some reason. So I don't know the rhyme or reason of why they restrict certain books. But that's a great question. Next up, we've got the Allen County Public Library. And you might be wondering, why are you talking about an Allen County Public Library in Fort Wayne, Indiana? Well, if you're not aware, Allen County Public Library is actually the second largest family history library in the United States. FamilySearch in Salt Lake City is the first, the largest. Even though it's in Indiana, they have collections that cover all United States and some of the international countries. Of course, a lot of their stuff is going to be on site in their library in Fort Wayne, but they've been digitizing some great stuff. They've got a lot of really great resources that I wanted to point out to you, including their free databases that they have in there. Of course, they're going to give you some Indiana results first because that's their target audience to begin with. But below that, they've got more outside of Indiana. They've got different quick search guides where you can get lists of books. And then I can, look at these books that are related to Germany. And then now I can go search it online and see, hey, did they digitize that book somewhere in one of these other resources that we talked about? They've got amazing genealogy webinars that they usually do a couple times a week. So you can find what they've got upcoming, and then sometimes they record them and post them on YouTube as well. That they have really great, awesome genealogy webinars. Lots of great genealogy librarians there as well. They've got some helpful how-to videos as well. If you click on genealogy services and start your search, if you're somebody who's still fairly new to genealogy research, I recommend checking those out as well. So within Allen County Public Library, they have a whole separate website just for their genealogy center, which is what they call this section of the library. It's kind of a portion of one of their main branches that it's this genealogy center. So they've got some great stuff in here. So you can explore the website, of course, but the things that I wanted to highlight are under the genealogy services. So you can see there's different quick search guides. They've got by country, by subject, by state. So, I can click on by state, for example, and then see all the different states that they have. And I can click on whatever state I wanted to and then be brought into this list. So it's showing me different resources for the state of Wisconsin. If I have Wisconsin ancestors, maybe these are going to be relevant titles that I want to look in. Oh, I want to find cemetery locations in Wisconsin. Well, maybe it's been digitized somewhere, or maybe I can see if we've got that book somewhere closer than Fort Wayne, Indiana, for us in Wisconsin. So this is kind of just giving you some resources that you might want to follow up on. See if you can get a copy of these resources. Go back here. All right, so the other thing I wanted to show you was their free databases. So if you go back to their main part, you can see some of their great genealogy events that they've got. They've got other great things highlighted here. Where did I want to go? Oh, okay. Up here in their little search bar, you can either search within their research catalog, within their website, or within those free databases. And then I can type in that surname. I'm just going to do a really broad surname just to show you the results. And you can click on search. Like I mentioned before, of course, first they're going to show you, more locally relevant resources for you. So the Allen County, Indiana ones, and they're going to show you a little bit more outside of Indiana. But if you keep scrolling down, or if you have something that's not as, broad of a surname as Johnson, you'll eventually get down here. Sorry if this is making you sick by me scrolling so fast. But eventually, you see other state databases. So now there's all these other resources. Here's one for Chicago, for example. They've got all these other kinds of resources, Alabama, Arizona, California, et cetera, that you can see, put in those ancestor surnames that you're looking for and see what results pop up in here. And then you'd click on whatever one you want to look at, and then it's going to give you, whatever information is in that database. So this might help me determine, hey, this ancestor that I'm looking for is buried in that cemetery, or whatever information they've got in there. So that's another great way to find our ancestors from a distance. The other thing I wanted to point out is that Allen County Public Library has a whole subsection within Internet Archive that they have digitized a lot of great things. I've got this link in your handout for you. So you can see they've got over 123,000 results. And they might have even added more since I took this little screenshot of the website. But they've got lots of different great resources from books that they have in the library that they've now made available to you to search from home without having to travel to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Also, something that this library does is the periodical source index, or you hear some people call it PERSI. So this is the largest subject index to the different genealogy and local history periodicals that are around the world. They've got over 3 million entries. So these are things like that genealogy society that you belong to. They send out that quarterly newsletter, or the magazine that the Wisconsin Historical Society sends out, or different journals that are genealogy or local history related, that maybe they happen to mention that surname that you're looking for, or maybe somebody wrote something about their research into that family, where you can search and see if there's any relevant articles within all these publications, and then you can get a copy of them. So the staff at the library created this, and they continue to index things. So what they do is they have the periodical titles, so that name like Genealogy Gems or whatever it's called, including things that are no longer in print. Maybe those genealogy societies changed the name of the newspaper, or they no longer are in existence, but they've got tons. They've got thousands and thousands of local, state, national, and international societies and organizations that send their resources here to the library so that they can be added to PERSI. So you can search it by surname, you can search it by location, or put in those basic subject headings. I encourage you to search kind of those less common surnames, because if you search Johnson, you're going to get a ton of results. So maybe think of a different subject, or pair it with a location or something else to narrow those results. Unfortunately, you don't get the actual article right away. You can try to get a copy of the article a different way through your local library, possibly. But what the Allen County Public Library does is they will give you a copy of those articles for a small fee. So if you pay $7.50, and 20 cents for each copy, they will send you up to 6 articles. So search for a couple articles, get your 6, fill out the form, submit it, spend that, less than $10, and then you're going to get those 6 copies mailed to you then. It just takes a little bit of a wait, but it's better than not having access to it or having to drive all the way to Fort Wayne, Indiana to grab it for you. So this is again within the Allen County Public Library website. So if right from that main site, if you scroll down, you'll see the periodical source index right here. And then again, you can search by surname, you can search by the different locations. So click on whatever one is relevant to you and then type in that name, click on that surname search. And now it's going to give me some of those results. So I can see the different results here, what periodical came from, what issue, who published it, things like that, what year it came from. Sometimes, depending on the title, you can determine, oh yeah, that might be about my ancestors, it might not, and see what you get. Of course, there's 3,000 results, so that's a lot. But say I happen to find a couple results that I want to order. There's kind of hidden down here. It says click here to order articles. And this is the form that you fill out with your information, the names of those articles, and the information that they need. And again, it tells you about the little charge, and then it's going to maybe take 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how many requests that they get. But that's how you would request it. It tells you where to send it to get it to them. You can also narrow down this. So of course, 3,000 results is a lot to go through. But maybe over here in Publisher, I want to put just Wisconsin and see. Of course, it's not always going to work exactly how you want it to because these are still not Wisconsin places. So, maybe try searching somewhere else, like Wisconsin in the title. Well, here's the Journal of Historic Madison that might have, something relevant in it. So that's another way to go through some of those results as well. What else can we do? I want to show you a keyword search too here. So, of course, you can see those different locations that are a little bit broader. There's also just an article title keyword search that you can do. So what keyword do I want to put in? Appleton. And now I can see, of course, it's going to have people with the surname Appleton or things related to Appleton, Wisconsin. Again, I can narrow down with some of these things here. Maybe I want to look for a specific date or a specific periodical title, things like that. Maybe I want History Today. And now I can just see those, 10 or 15 results that are related to that resource. Again, down at the bottom, that's where you order those articles. All right, what else we've got? The Wisconsin Historical Society. You might think, well, I don't have Wisconsin ancestors. Well, it's more than just Wisconsin-based resources. The Society has stuff from all over the United States, Canada, and some international locations. They've got the largest North American heritage collection after the Library of Congress. They've got the second largest collection of newspapers in the United States. So if it's not on your list to go visit Madison, where the Wisconsin Historical Society is located, I highly encourage it. It is among the top 5 institutions for genealogy research, and it's just a beautiful library. I absolutely love it. But they do have some great stuff online. They've got over 4 million local history and genealogy items, including printed and microfilm books and newspapers. They've got lots and lots of maps, over 3 million historical images, lots of great stuff. Of course, the majority of their stuff is going to be accessible in Madison, or they've got different area research centers throughout the state at the different UW colleges. So for example, up at UW Green Bay, they have a lot of Outagamie County resources because that's kind of the closest one to us regionally. So the different locations will have, kind of the counties surrounding it, and there's a whole map that they have through the Wisconsin Historical Society where you can see those specific counties and what area research center has those resources. But they also have lots of great online stuff. They've got local and county histories, they've got maps, atlases, oral histories, different articles. They've got a whole great Wisconsin in the Civil War section. So if you have an ancestor who served in a Civil War regiment that was in Wisconsin, definitely check out more information that they've got there to help you get started researching a little bit more about their Civil War service. Unfortunately, they are currently working on a very large upgrade of their digital resources. So as they're kind of migrating from an old system to a new system, they don't have as much available online yet. So keep checking back. But I'll show you kind of what they've got right now. So what you can do, go to wisconsinhistory.org. You can see, of course, they've got, that notice that I just basically told you that they're being upgraded. But you can also go to Browse and do Explore Our Collections. And then what you can do is you can see, they've got a library catalog, they've got different finding aids. I like to explore the DAM, whatever DAM stands for, Digital Asset Management. So this is kind of the site where they've been adding a lot of their really great digital content here. So again, you can put in that surname of those ancestors that you're looking for and see what pops up. So I've got something within this history of Wood County that, apparently has my ancestors in it, possibly. So now I can see, boom, it's right there, and it brings me right to that page. I can download a copy of it. I can print a copy of it. I can, do that over here as well. I can look a little bit more about what this book is about, who wrote it, all that kind of great stuff here. I kind of don't love that it's so small here, so I always like to just download a copy of it right away. That's one of the downfalls of kind of the site. But you can just easily, pull it up in PDF and then be able to zoom in, zoom out a little bit easier and have a little bit more room than that smaller section to read it. Also, if we go back out, you can search, of course, by location as well. So I can type in Appleton and find the relevant Appleton things. So they've got some great maps on here. So we're seeing some Sanborn maps. They've got a really cool historic picture of our original Appleton Public Library. They've got an advertisement for the woolen mills. I mean, you just never know all these kinds of great, cool things that they've got on here that might be related to your ancestors or something that they were a part of that you can now find online for free fairly easily. So they've got lots of great things on here. Just like the other sites, you can narrow down by using some of these things on the left-hand side as well. All right, any questions so far before we move on to our last little batch? Check on our online folks here. Could it be there's only, oh, I answered that. Right. All right, next up, we've got Archive Grid. Archive Grid is a free online catalog of 7 million different archival materials from more than 1,400 repositories all around the world. Of course, a lot of the things that you're going to find on here is going to be offline stuff, but they do have some things that include digital content. But this is just a really great way to help you find more things that you can search offline to make sure that you're doing that reasonably exhaustive research. You can discover those really unique, genealogically rich things like photographs, maps, diaries, family histories, business records, censuses, voter lists, membership lists, and much, much more. So what you can do is you can see what archives are located near you or your ancestral hometowns. But remember, archives could have went anywhere. Maybe there was one person in the family who moved to Montana and they donated all the stuff to the Montana Historical Society. And even though your ancestors, were in Wisconsin and they're about people in Wisconsin, it might be located in Montana for some reason. So on this site, just like the other ones, they have a search bar. You can search for people, places, events, and more. It does allow those Boolean operators, that and, or not. They've also got a great spot that says summary view, which helps you kind of refine your results a little bit better if you've got a lot of results to go through. And so I'll show you how this site works. Out of all of the sites, this is the weirdest link. So make sure you either Google Archive Grid or use the link that's in your handout because it's a really weird, it's like researchworks.oclc.org/archivegrid. It's not just archivegrid.com or archivegrid.org. So make sure you're searching it and getting the right location. So right up here is their kind of main search bar. Again, people, places, events, and more that you can search in. So I can type in Appleton, Wisconsin. Now I've got 300 and some results that I can go through and see what they've got. Or if I wanted to narrow it down a little bit, I can do that summary view. And now I can narrow it down by name or by a group, or yeah, I really want just Appleton, Wisconsin. Narrow it down that way. Now I've just got 4 results. If I find something that sounds cool, I mean, it'll give me a little kind of preview of it. I can click on it and learn a little bit more. Like, hey, it's in the National Museum of Women in the Arts in Washington, D.C. I can scroll down and learn a little bit more, maybe about this person. Oh, she lived and worked in Appleton. Now I learn a little bit more about her. I can get some contact information for this museum or this location that might have it and see, okay, is there a way that I can get access to this from Appleton, Wisconsin if I really want, this folder of art reproductions and all the things about this specific artist, maybe that's something that they might be able to share with me. Maybe they're going to charge me a research fee, maybe not. It really depends on the different institutions that own these materials, but this is, of course, something that's available offline that I wouldn't have access to immediately, unfortunately. But again, it's kind of linking you to all these really cool things. And now you can see, that institution where it is and see what there is. They've got different oral histories sometimes that you can, click on that and be brought into it sometimes right away. Sometimes they haven't been converted to digital, but, it's, worth clicking on to see if it's available online or not. You can also do different subjects. So say like I had an ancestor who worked for Fort Howard Paper, maybe I want to see what kind of business records they have on that business. Now I can see, oh, they have company records at UW Green Bay in the Coffin Library. Now I know, hey, I really want to make a research trip to that location and start going through that resource to see what I can find and see if I can find, my great grandpa and those records. Another way to use Archive Grid. So say you're going on a trip somewhere, or hey, that ancestral hometown, are there any archives or libraries around there? You can scroll around on the map, or there's this little magnifying glass. So I can put in, hey, I'm going to Newton, Iowa, where my ancestors are from. Well, there's not a whole lot in Iowa, but I can see there's 2 different places. There's the State Historical Society of Iowa. I can search their collections right there or get their contact information and say, hey, do you guys have anything on Newton or, whatever thing you're looking for. And then just click around every time you see the little blue dot. That means there's an archive located in that area. It'll tell you where it is, what it is, all that kind of stuff. And again, you can search within their collections then and see all the kinds of things that maybe before you go research there, now you have an idea of what you want to look for there. Then we've got Cindy's List. This is a completely free site of categorized and cross-reference listings of different links for genealogy research. Even though it is free, it may link to different sites that require payment or a subscription, like things like Ancestry.com or MyHeritage. If you see a green $ next to a link, that means it's going to require some sort of subscription or payment. So if you know you're somebody who doesn't want to pay for stuff like that, just ignore all those ones with the green $signs. But she's got over 300,000 links in more than 200 different categories. So it's a really great starting point for a specific location or a specific topic that you're looking into. Like if you're like, hey, I really want to find information on prison records, or I really want to find German resources or Italian resources. This is a great starting point that's going to link you to specific resources on those subjects or those locations. She's always updating her site to add stuff, change stuff, remove links that don't work. Or again, we've got that Wayback Machine. So if you do come across a broken link, go put it into the Wayback Machine and see if they have a snapshot of what it looked like and that you can use that site that way. But she's got lots of different categories, and then you can click on the relevant links for things. So it's just cindyslist.com. So she's got different categories here. Of course, because it's a free site, they do have some pop-up ads that you got to kind of navigate around, which is a little annoying, but of course she has to pay for the site somehow in order to make it free for us. So for example, I could click on one of these different categories, or if I'm like, oh, I really want a specific, location in the United States, maybe. She's got all the different states listed out here. So, maybe I want to find Wisconsin down here. And now when I go into this part of the site, I can see all the different links that are going to be related to Wisconsin. So she's even got it broken down even further for us. So, we could click on the different, things like, hey, I really want directories in Wisconsin. Now I can see all the different links here. And again, if you see the little dollar sign, that means, hey, it's going to cost some money or you have to have a subscription. But, maybe I just want to click on something else that's free and it's going to tell me a little bit more or link me to some sort of resource that's going to help me. There's other great categories in here. Like I said, it's a great kind of starting point if you're like, hey, I need to do some German research. Let me find the German area. Germans from Russia or Germany, Deutschland. And now I can see all the different things, or different related categories as well. Or, they've got just all kinds of different categories that you could spend all day just clicking on links that you find within this site if you have some time to play around and look at all the things that might be available. DNA, death records, all the different countries, different religious affiliations, all kinds of great stuff in here. I also really like the ancestor hunt. So again, this site is free, but it might link you to things that require payment or a subscription. But this again provides links to other resources that are available. They've got over 275,000 links to newspapers, yearbooks, cemetery records, directories, digital archives, photos, and more. They've got some resources broken down by state or different Canadian provinces or other international countries as well. And then they've also got different like subject areas as well. So if you click on resources, you can see different newspaper links, obituaries, yearbooks, all that kind of stuff that you might be searching for. So for example, I could just click on digital archives. Maybe I want to see what other really cool repositories that I didn't talk about today. He usually has some sort of great like little tutorials or a little bit more information that you can read through as you'd like. But then you can see all the different resources are broken down by state. So, hey, I want to look at the California archives. And just like Cindy's list, it's got some of those ads that pop up that you have to close out of. But now I can see down here all the different links to different California historical archives that might help me in my research for those California ancestors. Again, outside of those digital resources, though, they've got all kinds of other great things. Like, hey, if I'm like, hey, I really want to look at coroner records, let's see what that's about. I can again learn a little bit more about that, continue scrolling down, see all those different resources here as well. And then they've got tons of just newspaper links, yearbook links, all kinds of great stuff. You can see all the different resources and categories that they have in here that, again, is going to link you to other resources that might help you in your research. Of course, here in Appleton, we've got lots of really great resources as well. Just like we looked at earlier, go to apl.org, click on that research and learn, and then that genealogy and local history area. We've got digitized books and photos for our local area, especially in the databases Fox Valley Memory, Appleton Memory Project, and the University of Wisconsin Digital Collection. So if you have Appleton ancestors or Outagamie County ancestors here, feel free to explore those resources, even if you don't live in the Appleton area or once you go home from the Appleton area. But of course, all the things that we talked about, there's so many more resources that are going to be more specific to the specific area where your ancestors lived or where you're researching. So I always remember the acronym SLAM. SLAM stands for Societies, Libraries, Archives, and Museums. And you can see there's a lot of different types of societies, a lot of different types of libraries and archives. Private ones, county ones, state ones, territory ones, federal ones, church ones. I mean, there's all kinds of different types of resources. They all likely have websites where they might have some digitized content for you. So I always recommend to slam the area your ancestors lived in, because they might have some of that great local history stuff that might just be on their website, or maybe they have some statewide collections that you can find. It could be specific to that city or that county, the state, the region. So there's lots of different resources. Like I have Outagamie or Oconto County ancestors, so there's a site called Digitize Oconto County that has all these different newspapers for that area that's very specific to this area where my ancestors lived. Or we've got Recollection Wisconsin, which is a great statewide resource of all these different materials in here where I can search in this collection and see if I have those Wisconsin ancestors, maybe I want to type in that name and find my Wisconsin ancestors. Or there's this Western Waters Digital Library that has all these different states that are in the western part of the United States that now I can search within these collections to find, those Colorado ancestors, for example. So there's going to be all kinds of great resources depending on that geographic region that you're searching in. So always look for those societies, libraries, archives, and museums. Of course, you're not going to automatically know the name of them. So I always recommend like doing a Google search of that city, that town, that county, and then whatever you're searching for. So search for Outagamie County Genealogy Society or libraries near Peoria, Illinois. That's going to give you some resources to get you started. And again, realize that online content that might be on these sites is just the tip of the iceberg. So those libraries, those archives, those museums, they likely have a catalog, just like we do at the library, where you can search what kind of resources they have at that location, or figure out how you can plan a visit to them, or maybe get some research from a distance if they provide that service, because not everything is online. Another great resource I wanted to talk about for getting things that are not online is WorldCat. So this is a global library catalog that combines different collections from the libraries all around the world. So it's got books, journals, CDs, all kinds of things. So you can see what library near you maybe holds that book that you're looking for that we don't specifically have here at Appleton, but maybe they've got it in Manitowoc or maybe they've got it in Madison and we can borrow it for a short time period for you. I always recommend checking still within that library's catalog for specific information because, maybe you're looking for a specific edition or a specific volume that, maybe they don't have exactly the one that you're looking for. But you can search by subject, like if I want to search Chicago genealogy and see what books are available, and then I can see what libraries hold those titles. I always also recommend looking at all the different library listings because even libraries like HathiTrust, which is a completely digital library, is listed in here, but they sort all the libraries by geographic location. So HathiTrust, I believe, is based in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So if you're searching in Wisconsin, Ann Arbor, Michigan might be further down the list because it's giving you Madison and Milwaukee and Chicago first. But you can see if no library near you owns that material, you can try contacting the library that does own it. See, maybe they're just able to give you a couple scans or copies of the pages that you're looking for. Or maybe it's possible that they will borrow the book to us here at Appleton and then we can borrow it to you. Unfortunately, especially with rare materials or genealogy materials, sometimes they won't lend them because they're very rare and irreplaceable, but it's worth a shot of us trying to get some sort of access to it for you if we can. So I'll just show you quickly how that works. And then if you find something on here that we don't have here at Appleton that you want to borrow, you just come talk to us at the desk and we'll see what we can do for you. So again, I could do Chicago genealogy or whatever kind of search term, or if you've got a specific title of a book or title of a periodical that you're looking for, you can just pop that into that search box. Come on. This is the last live demonstration. Please work. Hmm. I don't know why our internet's being real slow today.
It's cold like everybody else.
Yeah. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions about anything else we've talked about up to this point that I can answer for you while we wait for this to load? Is Archive Grid only US based? I believe so at this point. I don't know, maybe it just didn't search for me here. Any way to save a restricted record from Family Search at a Family Search Center? Yes, you can easily download a copy of that image. If you access it at the Family Search Center or an affiliate library, they let you download a copy of it. Why this isn't working? There we go. Finally. All right, so now I've got my search results here. I can see the different titles or different options here, but say, hey, I'm really interested in this book specifically, maybe. I can click on it. Now I can see all the different libraries near me. Of course, it's going to show you based on your location where it is, and then how far that library might be from you. So I can, look through all the different library listings. Like I said, HathiTrust is on there. So now I know I'm going to go to the HathiTrust website and I'm going to search the title of that book, and it might be completely freely available to me on HathiTrust. Or maybe it's not, and then I have to, figure out, okay, can we get a copy of it from the Wisconsin Historical Society? Or, oh, I'm going to be in Madison in a few weeks. Let me add it to my list, and while I'm in Madison, I'll go grab that book. So that's an easy way for you to find other really great resources. You can even search, your surnames and see if your, cousins or anything written anything of note that you might want to look through, or maybe there's some genealogy things that they have published that you would be able to look and see where it's located or learn more about it. And this is worldwide, hence the name WorldCat. Lots of other subscription and fee-based resources that you can find. Some of them are also free, but these are just some of the things that I wanted to point out to you. But of course, we're already in an hour and a half in, so we can't talk about all of these, but some more areas that you could search for, like American ancestors, if you specifically have New England area ancestors, definitely encourage you looking into that. Find My Past is more UK focused, so if you have international ancestors in that area, definitely look into getting that. I like using eBay a lot too. You can find new or used books that might be out of print. I've even found photos or postcards or other cool things on there on occasion. Or I've heard people finding family heirlooms for sale on there. You just never know. Search your family surname and see what pops up. But again, remember, this is the tip of the iceberg. The internet, although it is very, very wide and you can spend a lot of time on the internet, it's just the tip of the iceberg. You still have to do that research in the libraries, in the archives, in the courthouses. That's all I've got for you. Our next session here is going to be Tuesday, February 17th at 2 p.m. Talk all about court records and how to find those ancestors who might have been involved in court. In the meantime, on Saturday, February 14th, you can spend your Valentine's Day with us at 2 p.m. We're going to host Vicki Tobias. She's going to talk about what to do with your personal archives and genealogy research materials. It is going to be an in-person only session. So for those who live locally, you're going to have to come see us in person. There will be no Zoom to it, and it will be upstairs in our community meeting room since we're hoping to have a little larger of a crowd this time. So hope to see you then. Happy to answer any other questions. Otherwise, go have fun researching those ancestors and some of those resources we talked about today. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Is the best resource for not in the United States?
The best resource for not in the United States. I would start with FamilySearch first. They have a lot of great stuff. It's international. You can sometimes find some international stuff on Ancestry Library Edition, but it's not going to be as extensive as what you would find in the paid version of Ancestry. Some of those other resources, like the Find My Past, is more UK focused. My Heritage tends to be more international too. So there's just it really depends on what specific location you're looking for.
Yeah, look for court records. Is that more circuit court records or clerk of court land records?
We're talking more about not land records, circuit court. And then, so we're going to do court records, except for probate records, because probate records is its own animal the next month. And then after that, we're going to do land records, because that's also its own animal. So that's what we've got planned, at least for the next few months. Yeah. Those dates and topics are in our events calendar. If you haven't taken a look at that yet, I can show you if you just go to apl.org. You can look at our events calendar quick and see those different dates. So right here are the events and programs. You can scroll on over. So February, March. Our March date is the 24th when we're going to talk about probate records. You can also see what the Find Your Ancestors topic is. Those are always the second Saturday of the month during the school year. So we've got that. And then the 21st of April is going to be land records. Past that, I've got some ideas, but I haven't solidified it yet of what we're doing past May for Genealogy Jumpstart at least.
We needed something translated. There's like that you recommend for that.
Translation, so Google Translate does help a little bit, but if you have something genealogy related, there's some great genealogy Facebook groups for transcription and translation. I can't remember the name of them off the top of my head, but you can easily just search like genealogy transcription or genealogy translation within Facebook, and it will show you groups. Like you usually have to request to be a member of it, and it will tell you, oh, this is what information we need from you to help you transcribe or translate it or both. And usually within a short while, like I've done a lot of German ones, I get an answer pretty quick. It really depends. I mean, if it's something more lesser known language, you might have a little bit more of a wait before somebody gets back to you, but they've got lots of great volunteers that are parts of those groups that love to help people. So see what other questions we've got here. Somebody said they've also used ChatGPT to translate, and it's kind of close, so use it. Let's see.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. So someone says they tried to save the restricted record into your shoebox. So if you save it to your shoebox, it will not come up. You have to physically save it to your computer in order to be able to access it again. German, Prussia, Austria-Hungary, Denmark, Russia, Swiss. Somebody shared a group for a Facebook group. So again, depending on what language you're looking for, feel free to browse and see what they've got. Any other questions? All right, everybody. Hope to see you next time.